If you want to learn your job and a good portion of the job next to you, which again is sort of like the military mentality, right? You know
Yep,
your job
absolutely.
and the person next to you.
See one, do one, teach one.
That's right. That's right. So you wear a lot of hats in a small business. But then lo and behold, what you'll find is, and I learned this only since I started, we've got people here with 15, 20, 25, 28 years tenure in the company. That's really unheard of. I've been places where if recruiters have a couple, 2, 3 years under their belt, you're a veteran.
Welcome to Security Cleared Jobs, Who's Hiring and How, the podcast for cleared professionals looking for new opportunities and career advice. We go behind the scenes with recruiters and hiring managers from leading cleared employers to uncover the information you need to make a smart career move.
Hey there, everybody. Welcome to Security Cleared Jobs, Who's Hiring and How. My name is Bob Wheeler, and I have a special guest host today, Miss Chelsea Drum. She's going to be helping me out as we talk to John Garrett. He's the Director of Talent Acquisition at Zel Technologies. So first of all, welcome to the show, John.
Thank you, guys. Nice to have the opportunity to talk with you guys today.
All right. John, before we get the full scoop on ZelTech, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your journey working for ZelTech?
I'm going to date myself here, but I am a 20-year veteran of recruiting in the federal space. I had a sales career before I got into recruiting and started out in the agency world. And I've been everything from a headhunter to a director and in between with large and small and intermediate size companies. I've been in the commercial space, Big Four. And what led me to ZelTech was really culture fit and being able to put my thumbprint on what recruiting at ZelTech is going to look like going, into the future as they grow and as we scale that effort. It checked a lot of boxes for me, but their business is evolving and changing, and I like to think that my background makes sense for that. And for the time being, they think it does. So we'll see.
Awesome. So let's shift a little bit into ZelTech. If you will, paint a picture for our listeners. What does ZelTech specialize in, and what kind of cleared roles and skill sets do you typically hire for?
I won't say we're a niche within a niche, but we provide a certain type of service in embedded design, systems development, rapid prototyping for offensive and defensive capabilities, products that our government or the IC community uses to go about their day in intelligence gathering. We have a lot of work primarily based out of Florida in the Melbourne, Florida area. We have folks at Patrick and Cape Canaveral. Very nice footprint within DIA, branches of the military, of course, Air Force. Our footprint extends to Northern Virginia, Bolling Air Force Base, Reston, Virginia, Rome, New York, Rochester, and various and sundry other areas, other places along the eastern seaboard. Been doing that since 1988, founded by a former colonel in the Air Force. Kind of started just doing it himself as a consultant and then thought, well, why not? Why can't I do this in a more scalable, broader sense? And here we are more than 30 years later. So we enjoy a bit of not only of a niche, but also stability. The IC community is really the main customer that we service. And we've been that main provider of what we do to them for quite a while. There's an ebb and flow to everybody's business. Even the large companies have an ebb and flow. Ours is no different, but we are poised currently to not only capitalize on all the opportunities we've teed up, but there's going to be significant growth in our sector going forward into 2026.
Tell me, what's the typical clearance requirement for the majority of your roles?
We're mostly CI poly, a little bit of SCI kind of sprinkled in, infrastructure hires, operations support, secret TS. But for all of our customers really down in Melbourne, in the Cape and Patrick, it's SCI and kind of even split between SCI and CI poly.
Great information, John, especially seeing all the various locations you're talking about. I mean, everywhere from, upstate New York to down to the coast of Florida. So the geographic locations are everywhere. But one of the things that I was picking up is that I guess you guys are about to launch your own skiff. Is that a pretty big development for you guys to have your own skiff now?
Yeah, it's one of those things. I think it's been in the works for a while. And we're looking to acquire that, build it out, and we're in the process of doing that now down in Florida.
Okay.
A lot of the work we're doing, especially the rapid prototyping stuff, we're doing it at a customer site. And we all know if you've been in this business a while, customer sites tend to get full after a while. So if we can offer up skiff space to do the work that we do for them on their site, if we can offer it up to do it on our own site. I think that's a value add to the customer. And, just it provides us that much closer of a relationship with our customers. And maybe give them a little more elbow room. Maybe they'll be able to put in a couch or two in the lobby, and accommodate a few more people. But yeah, that's been an ongoing process. It takes a while. Anybody that's gone through that process knows. But we're getting closer and closer. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, the target for the opening of that space would probably coincide with the end of the fiscal year in 2026. But we'll get there.
What's that going to mean? Just out of curiosity, what's that going to mean for your employees? Is that a big boost for your employees as far as just like their day-to-day operations and just work environment?
Well, I think anytime there's an on-premise SCIF, they're, in theory, they could not have to travel to the customer site as often. We all know the government likes to see contractors, and visibility is key. I think, but in addition to that, by us having a SCIF facility, it's going to help us on future contracts. It's going to help us on, we like to, when we can, we will sponsor clearances to the SCI level. Customer sponsors the CI poly. We've been successful in getting those appointments set and then adjudicated for the CI poly process. But I think it's just kind of in the scheme of things, it just means that we're just more like the customer. We have a SCIF, we have the security protocols in place. We're built out to support that kind of work. And although we couldn't sponsor it as, an employer that way, knowing that we have a SCIF on premise, customer, I think, will be more open to sponsoring clearances on our behalf in the future.
Awesome.
Which, it's tough to get a clearance if you're a candidate, and it's even tougher to sponsor somebody as an employer because it takes time. So I think we have a better understanding of that. It works out better for everybody involved.
John, you mentioned earlier a little bit about growth within ZelTech. So I would love for you to explain a little bit about what it's like to work with a company of about 135 people.
Well, I think in a small company, you wear a lot of different hats. And maybe it's just because I'm nosy, but I'm involved in a lot of things other than just the day-to-day recruiting, but also communicate with leadership here directly. That's another thing that to me is key. You're not going to get time with the president of a top 10 integrator, but I get time. As a matter of fact, I just had lunch with ours. And maybe it's just, like I said, I'm a little nosy. I like to have a more comprehensive view of what's going on in the business with the program teams, what leadership is thinking, what's on the pipeline, what challenges we have. So having access to all the key leadership is really nice.
I was checking out your website. You got a nice page about the Skill Bridge program. You got a video on there and everything like that. So obviously connected to the military, ZelTech is. So what do you think makes it such a good landing spot for veterans when they get out to, as far as finding a good solid home at ZelTech?
Yeah, I think there's a couple of aspects to that. One is the military pedigree and history of our founder, and just the culture from a military perspective. We're mission oriented and dedicated. A lot of former military folks are in leadership positions at headquarters and also down in Melbourne, Florida, and they're overseeing or managing the various contracts. The military leadership style is pervasive in the company. As far as, the opportunities for, departing military members, a good portion of the stuff we do for the government, they don't really teach that at a liberal arts college or Virginia Tech or whatever. So it's taught in the military. And that small company environment where we're a tight team, they're going to be a part of decisions above and beyond just the scope of what their job is. We kind of operate as the military would in smaller, more cohesive units to deliver for the customer. So culturally, it's a great entryway into a corporate, mentality or a corporate culture like ours. And then it's not that much of a change in some respects, other than the fact that they don't have to wear fatigues to work, right? The other thing is I think if you're an early career candidate, there's plenty of time for you to achieve that bucket list company. But if you want to learn your job and a good portion of the job next to you, which again is sort of like the military mentality, right?
Yep,
your job and the person next to you.
See one, do one, teach one.
That's right. So we're kind of like that farm club for the bigger companies, I guess. But then lo and behold, what you'll find is, and I learned this only since I started, we've got people here with 15, 20, 25, 28 years tenure in the company. that's really unheard of. I've been
Yeah.
places where if recruiters have a couple, 2, 3 years under their belt, you're a veteran. You know what I mean? So it's a stable, not too unfamiliar environment that has enough of the corporate world that they get a taste of that. But it's also the culture is very familiar to them, and they're going to learn a lot. There's
Yeah.
you wear a lot of hats in a small business, and that holds true for everybody, whether you do what I do or you're CFO. You know what I mean? So
Yeah. Well, hey man, that is some really great description of why it would be great. Is that like, I'm a veteran myself, I could certainly see all the stuff that you're talking about, making it really easy for a veteran to fall right in and feel comfortable and just start to succeed right away. I'm going to shift a little bit, John, and ask you some questions more about just on job seeking advice in general. Maybe
Sure.
get some other stuff for you as we close up here. But if you were to just talk to a job seeker in general, you've been doing talent acquisition for a long time. You've seen the goods and the bads. Is there like one good tip that you would just give someone that says, you know what, hey, I'm about to jump into the cleared spaces. What's one good tip for somebody?
Ask questions on your own behalf. Make sure it's a real opportunity. If somebody gives you a recruiter, and I'm one of them, not that I do this practice, but I've been a recruiter a long time. A recruiter gets on the phone and says, hey, when can you start? How about $75 an hour? That sounds great. Okay. Talk about stuff that's really kind of more the attractive part of the job, the pay and how quickly can you start, versus figuring out if it's a real opportunity. Is the contract been awarded yet? When's the transition period? Are you the prime? If you're not the prime and you're a sub, do you have negotiated work share? Because those things mean something. If
Yeah.
you're a sub to a large prime, but you're a sub that's negotiated 10, 15, 20 different positions as, dedicated work share to your company, meaning you hire and manage them, and yours makes no difference. You're like a junior prime on the contract because you've worked that out in a language. But for those jump ball situations where large prime has 70 different subs on a contract and they send out a distro email in the morning and the afternoon to 70 different contractors to see if they've got a candidate hanging out. That's not a real job. That's a seat at the table. It's not necessarily any dedicated work. So, but again, if you're doing your due diligence and making sure it's a real opportunity, and you can reach out through the corporate recruiter email or reach out through LinkedIn and initiate a conversation.
I heard you might have a cautionary tale or a memorable hiring story to share with us.
This happened recently. I'm on the interview, the hiring manager's on the interview, and we have a candidate that's on, a Teams call. So I get in to debrief with the manager and he's like, yeah, I'm not interested in this person. I'm like, why? So he sounded pretty good. He goes, I'm pretty sure they were using Chat GPT to answer some of my questions. The guy's eyes were darting around and he would repeat the question. He thought he heard some keystrokes, but he might have had a voice prompt on Chat GPT that would pull up on another screen and his eyes would, slant over. He was getting answers from Chat GPT. And then they sounded a little bit like you would imagine Chat GPT would sound, a little cold and clinical. But here's the thing though. I had a pretty savvy technical manager interviewing this person, and he picked up on all that stuff. It's out there. The disappointing part is that I do believe AI has applications in just about everything, recruiting included, but it's a tool. It's an assistant. It's not there to do your job because it's a language learning model. It's not a thinking, intuitive entity. I think there's an over reliance on stuff like that, and it started with social media, and it certainly is continuing with AI. It's a strange moment in time we're in. I think when it comes to hiring.
Well, hey, John, you know what? It's been great learning about your background, but also Zel Technologies. Let's say somebody really is a real person and they really do want to get in touch with you, a real recruiter. What's the best way that they can get in touch with you? Is it LinkedIn? How should somebody find you?
Yeah, we got LinkedIn. My partner, Sylvester Harris, has been with the company a while, 4 or 5 years now. We kind of represent the candidate-facing face of ZelTech. You can go to our careers page, join our talent pool. You can enter your resume and your contact information. Look at their job postings. We have fresh stuff come out every month, and there's a lot in the pipeline.
Well, sounds great, John. Thanks for joining us today. Look forward to seeing all the great stuff that ZelTech's got coming up for the next year. So thanks a lot for joining us today.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
That was a really interesting conversation we had with John over there from Zel Technologies. Talked about a lot of really cool things about the company and the longevity and stuff like that. One of the things that really caught my attention, though, was his story about people using AI, and that's kind of in the news right now. But what are your thoughts on artificial intelligence, ChatGPT, and how job seekers should be using it as opposed to the way maybe that guy was using it in that interview?
Yeah, I think we're going to see a lot more of it, Bob. It's a little bit funny, but I think it's a good reminder for job seekers that authenticity is really important, and AI is a powerful tool, but it certainly can't complete your interview for you.
Yeah, 100%. So great time talking to John. Thanks for joining us, everybody. If you like this episode, you can share it. You can send it to folks. You can put it out on your LinkedIn. You can put it out on your social medias. But we want to say thank you so much for joining us. This has been a great episode of Security Cleared Jobs, Who's Hiring and How.
Goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye.